Hello, my bookish friends. Welcome or welcome back. I am Elizabeth. This is Reading Riley, and today we're going to talk about books that are being adapted into either TV or movies in 2022 specifically and beyond. I'm also going to talk about books that have been optioned or auctioned. I really don't know what the right word is for that, but that there are no set date for yet. And some of those are the most exciting, but there are so many. I keep hearing about these adaptations. There are certain ones that I'm just super excited for. And when I hear that an adaptation is being developed, it just moves up the TBR pile. But lately, it's been overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, I could read for an entire year only books that are being adapted. Maybe not exactly, but it feels like that. So I figured I would make some kind of comprehensive list for you all so you have an idea of what's coming out. Also, I want to mention there are far more than I'm going to tell you about today, but these are the ones that I'm interested in that I want to focus on. This is what my brain looks like. It's insane. Okay, first I want to talk about books that are being adapted into series that have dates that are coming up that we can expect in the near future. The series that originally got me interested in tracking all of these, along with a few other ones, is Pieces of Her. It's based on a book by the Karen Slaughter, and it premieres on Netflix on March 4th. It says season 1, which leads me to believe there will be more seasons, so it's not specifically a limited series, which is interesting. I think my favorite book adaptations are limited series because you can tell the whole story and you have more time to do it. But if it's an ongoing series, that would be interesting because at some point you have to just start making stuff up and it's not as true to the canon. You know what I mean? This is starring Toni Collette. The trailer is out now. I'll link it down below if you haven't checked it out yet. I just read this book and I really liked it. It does have lower ratings than some for other books, but I think the problems that people have with the book have to do with the way it's told. And I think based on the trailer, they are going to be handling that differently. So I am hopeful for it. And of course, because it has Toni Collette, I'm super excited and can't wait. Before that even, actually in a couple days here, we have the adaptation of No Exit by Taylor Adams. It's a movie premiering on Hulu on February 25th. This one I'm a little bit concerned about. I feel like No Exit is kind of a booktube baby. This one has a trailer available as well. I'll also link that down below. And the trailer makes me a little nervous. In the book, our main character Darby is leaving school to go back home to see her mom. That's kind of where we start out on the journey. I'm not giving any spoilers, but in any case, she's leaving school in college. In the trailer, it seemed like she was escaping some kind of rehab or asylum or something along those lines, and she's like on the run. So off the bat, they changed the premise, or at least that's what it seems like from my perspective right now. I'm a little hesitant about that, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna watch it in either case, and I'm excited for it. Next, we have two series that are ongoing that I just want to bring up. The season 2 of Bridgerton will be coming out on Netflix on March 25th, and then season 6 of Outlander on Starz will be airing on March 6th. So we have a lot at the beginning of the year. This is just 2 months, February and March so far. In April, we have Anatomy of a Scandal by Sarah Vaughn is being adapted into a 6-episode Netflix miniseries. This one I don't know what it is. I haven't read it. This is going to be released on April 15th. From what I understand, it has to do, I think it's historical British and has to do with a sex scandal that is being exposed, and I think there is a case that's being tried. The woman from Downton Abbey is in it, and she's like one of the judges or something. So anyway, I'm intrigued. I don't know about this book, but sounds interesting. I don't have an exact date for this one, but Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney is going to be adapted into a 12-episode miniseries on Hulu, and that's going to happen sometime in May. So I haven't read this one either, but I know it's a popular book. And so maybe I'll read it before this comes out, just out of curiosity. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, so let's get into movies that are coming out on the big screen, which have specific dates already. These aren't in order of release date. They're just how I wrote them down, so be aware of that. But the first one on my list here is The Nightingale adaptation by Kristen Hanna, which I have not read. I've heard very good things about. I'm not into historical fiction, but if there was one of her books that I would read, it would probably be this one. I know it's a story about two sisters in, I want to say World War II. I've never never read it, but it's very popular, and that is coming out in theaters December 23rd, and it is starring Elle and Dakota Fanning, who are real-life sisters, and who I love both as actors. So if I don't read this book, I'm definitely going to watch the movie. Next we have Salem's Lot by Stephen King. It's being adapted again. I guess there have been several adaptations of this. That is going to theaters on September 9th. And that is all I know about it. Also, we have another adaptation of a book called Blonde by Joyce Carol Oates, which I've never read, but it is apparently a fictionalized biography of Marilyn Monroe's life. It's going to premiere at the Cannes Film Festival Cannes Film Festival? I don't know how to say that. In May of this year. But I guess it's already done. It's already completed. One that I'm really excited for is Killers of the Flower Moon, which I just hauled this book. And so I'm really excited to find out that it's being adapted into a movie. Can't wait to read it as it is. I feel like this is a really underrated and not well-known story that needs more attention. It's a true crime book about the Osage murders in Oklahoma in the early 20th century, I believe. Basically, there's this like huge conspiracy because the Osage people, who were native people, indigenous people, owned all this land and property and struck oil in Oklahoma. And so they were filthy rich. And there's this conspiracy of people who tried to take that away from them, and I guess did. And a series of people who were killed in the process and covered up, and then people who were investigating it were then killed and covered up, and it eventually went into the hands of J. Edgar Hoover, who was in charge of the FBI. I want to know about this, but this movie is directed by Martin Scorsese, first of all. It's also starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. It's going to be amazing. It has like a $200 million budget, and it is in post-production right now. There's no release date for it at this point, but it's supposed to come out in 2022, this year, and it's already been filmed, and so they're just putting the finishing touches on it. So hopefully we'll see that soon. I also have another one, which I don't know this book, but it sounds interesting. It's called Deep Water by Patricia Highsmith. This is actually a movie that's going to be premiering on Hulu. Yes, on March 8th. So that's coming out soon. So this book was originally written in 1957, but it's starring Ben Affleck in the Hulu adaptation. It's directed by Adrian Lynn. His last directing experience was 20 years ago when he directed Unfaithful. And so he's kind of coming out of his directing retirement to make this movie for Hulu, starring Ben Affleck. So, and I think it's a thriller. Anyway, I need to look into that. Next, let's talk about TV shows and movies which are going to be available to stream and are going to be released this year, but we do not have a specific date in this year for them yet. After that, we'll talk about books which the rights have already been bought, but for which we have not started filming for yet. This one is going to be a Netflix movie starring Mila Kunis, and I believe she's also producing. It's called The Luckiest Girl Alive by Jessica Knoll, and I believe this is a thriller as well. I don't know this one, but it sounds really interesting. It also is going to star Connie Britton, or at least she will be part of it. Apparently they started this project 6 years ago and it just kept getting pushed back, and then the panorama happened and all of the things. It's finally happening sometime this year. We don't have an exact date for it yet. Next we have White Noise by Don DeLillo. And I was just at the bookstore the other day and almost picked this up. I haven't read it, but I think it has to do, let me look it up actually. We're following a character named Jack Gladney, who is the creator and chairman of Hitler Studies at the College on the Hill. Hitler Studies, okay. And this is a story of his absurd life that is going well until a chemical spill releases an airborne toxic event and Jack is forced to confront his own mortality. Okay, that sounds really interesting. So anyway, this adaptation is going to be on Netflix, and it's going to be starring Adam Driver, whom I love. We don't have a release date, but it's supposed to come out sometime in 2022. Next, we have another adaptation of The Time Traveler's Wife. If you recall, there was an adaptation starring Rachel McAdams quite a few years ago, which I enjoyed. I liked that one. I've never read the book, but I liked the movie. This adaptation is going to be an HBO limited series. From what I understand, they want to focus on the love story of this and not as much on the time traveling traveling, though of course that's going to be included. It's going to be a 6-part series, and it's supposed to come out in the spring sometime this year. That is starring Rose Leslie and Theo James. I think Rose Leslie is the redheaded girl from Game of Thrones, who I really adore. So I'm excited for this. Another limited series, this one's going to be released on FX. We're not sure if it's coming out in 2022 or next year in 2023, but it's going to be an adaptation of Kindred by Octavia Butler. I have not read this yet, but this one again has to do with time travel, but it's about a Black woman in current day who accidentally time travels back to the plantation south, and so she has to figure out how to live a time when slavery exists. As a woman today, it's supposed to be a really, really great book. Oh, it's going to be starring Mallory Johnson as Dana. I believe that's the main character. Ooh, another one that's really exciting is Daisy Jones and the Six. Taylor Jenkins Reid. She's got a lot going on right now. This is going to be an Amazon Prime Video 12-episode series that's either going to come out in late 2022 or early 2023, starring Sam Claflin, who was in Hunger Games, if you remember him from that, and Riley Riley, who is Elvis Presley's granddaughter. She will be Daisy Jones, and it's also going to be in the same kind of documentary style formatting and told in interviews. So I think it's going to be really good. They are in production of this right now. Really excited. And this is also being produced by Reese Witherspoon's production company, Hello Sunshine, which Reese Witherspoon's also got a lot going on right now. I mean, damn, she's producing a lot of these books, which makes sense because she likes books. We are also supposed to be getting an adaptation of Alice Oseman's Heartstopper. Well, I think it's a graphic novel series. I haven't read it yet, but I know it's very loved by a lot of people, and this is going to be coming out on Netflix sometime in the spring, and that's all I know about it. We have House of the Dragon, which is going to be the Game of Thrones prequel, which is supposed to be set 200 years before the original Game of Thrones series is set, and we're focusing on the Targaryens and their ancestors. So I'm really excited for that, and that obviously is going to be on HBO. It's 10 episodes for this season, and we don't have a specific date either on when that's coming out, which is frustrating because I don't know about y'all, but I am a huge Game of Thrones fan. And this next one is not a book adaptation, but I think you all would be interested, so I want to tell you about it because I'm really excited about it. That is going to be the fictionalized telling of The Staircase, which is a true crime case. If you have not seen The Staircase on Netflix, you need to watch it. It's amazing. What is that douchebag's name? Peterson, something Peterson. The whole story of how his wife was found dead at the bottom of their staircase. So anyway, this adaptation is coming out sometime this year. It is going to be on HBO. It's going to be, I believe, a miniseries. I think it's a limited series. And it's going to be starring Toni Collette as well as Colin Firth. Why do I want to call him Mr. Darcy? Colin Firth. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait for that. And now I just want to talk about some other books which the rights have been sold for, but which are not in production yet. We don't have a lot of details, but we know it's coming. We have an adaptation of Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is going to be starring Dakota Johnson, who was in 50 Shades of Grey, if you remember her. The production started in May of 2021, and it's going to be a movie. That is all I know. Grady Hendrix also has to be rolling in the dough right now because he has sold the rights to 3 of his books. The one that is coming along the fastest, I think, is My Best Friend's Exorcism, and that is currently in production with Amazon Studios. I believe that's supposed to be a movie. He's also sold the rights to Horror Store, which I believe is also going to be a movie, and the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which I believe that one is going to be a series on Amazon. Yeah, Amazon TV series. So far, we have no updates for ACOTAR, but we know it's going to be on Hulu. There is no date yet. I don't even know if they're in production yet. Hopefully, we'll get more news on that soon. We do know that the Shadow and Bone Season 2 is currently in production, and we're hoping to see that in 2022, but again, there's no telling. That is on Netflix, I believe. Leigh Bardugo's Ninth House was also optioned for a movie, I believe, on HBO. I think HBO and Hulu are both interested. They're trying to figure out who's getting that. But from what I understand, Leigh Bardugo is going to, I think she's going to be writing the script for that one, or at least involved in the writing of it. Also, Netflix UK optioned the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, or I suppose if it's in the UK, it's the 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. So that one should be really good if we get to see that sometime soon. Another one is The Firekeeper's Daughter, which was a really big hit last year, and I never read it. I need to get to it. The rights to that have been bought by the fucking Obamas. Apparently, they have their own production studio called Higher Ground, which is just perfect for them. I love it. Or production company, I should say. And they want to make that into a Netflix series. Yes, let's see it. Barack, Michelle. Another one that is going to be adapted for Amazon is Una Out of Order. Another one which I have not read, and we have no date for that. Another Taylor Jenkins read, Malibu Rising, is going to be adapted on Hulu as well. We have no date for that either. The last thing he told me, got a lot of awards in the Goodreads Choice Awards last year, or at least one big award, I can't remember what it was. Some people love it, some people hate it, it's very divisive. Apparently they're working on an adaptation of that. It was supposed to be starring Julia Roberts and produced by Julia Roberts, but apparently she dropped out because of scheduling conflicts, and now it's going to be starring Jennifer Garner. I might be interested. I like Jennifer Garner. I like Julia Roberts more, but you know, I like Jennifer Garner. And that's gonna be a TV series on Apple TV. That's also a Hello Sunshine produced, so that's Reese Witherspoon's company. Okay, we also have an HBO TV show adaptation of The Vanishing Half, which I still have not read either. It's supposedly got a 7-figure budget. There were 17 different companies bidding for the rights to this book. I don't know why I haven't read this yet. That's by Britt Bennett. And Britt Bennett is going to also executive produce this alongside Issa Rae. That sounds amazing. The Lost Apothecary is another one that is in development and is going to be a Fox TV series. I really liked The Lost Apothecary. I read it for one of my in-person book clubs, and I was expecting it to be fantasy, maybe because of the cover, I don't know, but it was just historical fiction, but it was very feminist historical fiction, dual timeline, and I thought it was really good. So if that's gonna be a TV series, that should be really cool. Oh, another one is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This is going to be a limited TV series as well. I don't know where that's going to stream or what channel that's supposed to be on, so we'll see about that. And we also have The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This is supposed to be a feature movie, and it's going to be under Brad Pitt's production company, so could be really great. We'll see. And then for the last couple, I have For Your Own Good, which we've heard about. This is Samantha Downing's book, and I've heard that Robert Downey Jr. is supposed to play the lead in this, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. They have not announced any casting for this, but it's going to be an HBO limited series as well. It is being made by Robert Downey Jr.'s production company. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to star in it, but wouldn't it be great? I think he'd be perfect for that role. And then Samantha Downing's gonna be a consulting producer on that as well. And then the last one is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. Didn't particularly enjoy the book, but I think the adaptation is gonna be really good. And this is an HBO limited series as well. And this is being made by Emma Stone's production company, Fruit Tree. The script, or a version of it, was finished in September of last year, but we don't have any other inclinations as to the casting again, or whether it's in development, in production, etc. I don't know if Emma Stone's going to be acting in this as well or not, so we will see. And that's it. That is my comprehensive list of everything that I'm interested in that is being adapted in 2022 and beyond. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative for you. I will see you next week with another video. Until then, don't forget that life is short, so read Riley. Cheers and goodbye!